Good afternoon, everyone. Matt Jukich here again with a special interview as we creep closer to opening day, and we'll have a new voice on the mic here for the opening day in 2019. We had Michael Rona, maybe even a little more special one to me anyways, here to kick the season off in 2020. We'll have Dan Jukich from Hastings Racecourse joining us here for opening day. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks very much, Matt. And I'm coming into 30 years of thoroughbred calling once Hastings gets their meet underway too.
I was going to say, started calling thoroughbreds in 1990 at Hastings. What still brings you back to doing it?
Well, it's the fans, and unfortunately, we're not going to see them to start with. But it's interacting with the people and handicapping the races, and just it's an exciting sport. You get out there, and everyone thinks that they found the winner, but in reality, there's only one winner.
Obviously, coming from the same track that we were both at there a little while ago, there's always people there wanting to talk to you. Before we did our pregame show, there was 5 or 6, 7 people that always wanted to bang your ear before we went on and did the pregame show, and then afterwards had some more questions for you as well. You always had time for them, and you were mentioning that kind of what makes it special doing this job for so long.
Exactly, and it's the characters who go to the track and their love of the sport also, because without them, we really don't have jobs.
Of course, on the way down from the roof, you'd bring them down their videos and stop through the George Royal and go see the trainers and the guys who won the day. So it's obviously special to have them around. A little bit different this year, unfortunately, with COVID-19. There won't be any fans here. Your booth at Hastings, tell me about that and kind of what you can feel with the people underneath you.
Well, it's a unique situation because I am outside. I can hear the people down below on the tarmac, and we're back from the tarmac a little bit, so you get a pretty good perspective of the track also because you're off the apron. A lot of the tracks, the announcers' booths are right up, almost close to the apron. It's got to be very tough when they turn for home to try and find out who is where and what's happening in the race.
So you did call a couple days here last year. You did Oaks Day and Derby Day for us. You got a couple handle marks. Do you think we can best those? I know you were quite proud of that. The days you were here were the best handling days of Century Mile.
Yeah, we're going to go above those for sure. I think we're in a pretty good spot at 5:15 Central or Mountain Time. Sorry, it's Mountaineers just going to start at 4 o'clock, and I think we'll be a good blend in there. Los Al's going to come on board. And I think we're going to get a few races into California, I believe, too. So it should be a good blend as long as, you can stay off of other people. There's not a lot of product going. So we should be able to do that.
Started calling the races at Hastings in 1990, Fraser Downs, then Cloverdale, 1979. If you had to count, maybe fingers, toes, and my fingers and toes, how many thousands of races do you think you've called?
Oh, gosh, I probably should have kept track of it better, but I would have to think it's well over 50,000 because in those days they were running, if you were at Cloverdale, they were going 135 days a year. We're going 5 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And it was a normal card was about 10 races a day. Hastings started at about 118 days a year when I started in 1990. And then from there, it went down a little bit, but we were still always 8, 9, 10 races a day. So I'd hate to have to look back to see how many races it is.
Well, obviously, 2019, a special year for you. You were inducted into the BC Sports Hall of Fame for your contribution to horse racing. How much did that mean to you?
Well, it really caught me off guard, per se. I mean, I was an honored member of the BC Horse Racing Hall of Fame, which was a special honor at that point. But to get the call from the BC Sports Hall of Fame, I mean, many times when I'd go to the Civic National Exhibition as a kid and they had their own hall down there, you'd look in there, but you'd think, yeah, never think that you would be able to get in there, per se. But yeah, it certainly was a great honor. Great to have you and Marina and, of course, daughter Courtney and her husband Mick and mom there, my wife Stephanie, and it was fantastic. So,
how did you end up getting into calling the races way back?
Well, Dad worked for the newspaper and covered racing for a few years here. And he came home one day, and because Jack Short, the original announcer at Hastings or Exhibition Park, was going to retire, and he said, "Why don't you go to BCIT and take up broadcasting and have some fun with it?" And I was maybe 21 at the time, and I thought, that's to tie up all your summers, no baseball, no nothing, because they race 5 days a week, and we played on the weekends. And so I thought, no, I didn't want to do that. So I let it go, and they hired somebody else, and I was fine with it because we'd go to Seattle to Long Acres, and we'd go to the track here, and it was a lot of fun. But anyways, he came home in '78 and said they need somebody at Cloverdale just for Saturdays to start. I told you should have went. I said, well, that's okay. I can do it. Typical thing. You've been around it long enough. You think you can do it. Well, it wasn't quite that easy. After about the fourth race, I wanted to quit, because it wasn't the memorization of the horses' names and finding them. It was the cadence and the rhythm that you develop. And that was the biggest thing. And once you got over that, not a problem. Being a soccer goalie and being a first baseman when I was playing other sports, I was always the hauler guy. So speaking didn't bother me at all.
Definitely from calling the races myself there at Northlands for 5 years, I guess. The biggest thing is knowing what you can use, kind of reaching into your bag for sayings and different things at points of the race. And when you first start, you don't have that, so you struggle to kind of fill air. And as you do more and more, and now you're tens of thousands of calls into it, that bag's got to be pretty deep.
Well, that's why I prefer if we had full fields rather than 5-horse fields.
Yes.
Because you don't have to fill up so much airtime per se. But I'm the vanilla guy. I'll give you a good, concise report as to what's going on in the race, but I don't like to throw a lot of flair stuff in. I will once in a while. And I was waiting one time, and I had this saying that I wanted to use, and I found it, and I did use it. And this horse was out in front by about 9, and I said, his lead has evaporated like the water in the desert.
Well done. I think he had a few for Ronaldinho too when he was on a roll back in like 2012 at Hastings as well. So
he shoots, he scores.
Yeah, that's the one. How many tracks have you called that? We talked about Hastings, Fraser, and Century Mile, but how long is that list? I think Michael's is into the 50s now.
Oh, Michael, I wouldn't even be close to him. I mean, he's the world traveler. He's got more stamps on his passport than I'll ever have. But it's always been nice to just go out and have a few guest appearances because you can't work, but guest appearances. And, with Robert Geller and Robert, who is now at Woodbine, used to do an international exchange at Emerald Downs. He would come up to Hastings, call 4 or 5 races on a day. I'd go to Emerald, we make a day of it, sort of thing. And it was a lot of fun. I've been to Albuquerque, New Mexico, of all places, and it was a nice place to go to and, see a different part of the world. And I got to call one race at the now defunct Bay Meadows.
Nice. Did you ever get to call one at Long Acres?
No, I did not. That was actually before I really got into it a lot. They ended in 1994. So I just started at Hastings, and although I talked to their announcer, Gary Henson, a few times, I never really set anything up with them.
So going into a race card, obviously you don't know the horses as well here from years past. Of course, you'll have Mark Kluche, a few you called last year on the evening. But what goes into getting ready?
Well, you look at it, you read the form, and same as anything, it's like trying to handicap the race as to who you think is going to get the first call out of the gate. Does it always work? No, then you have to scramble. But that's the key point, is to try and find out where the speed is, or if there is a lack of speed. Maybe one horse is going to get to the front and lead them on a merry chase. I know a lot of guys take their programs and they color them and they do things. I've never been a color person. Give me the program, give me the names, and let's go.
I'm dumbfounded being up in the booth, obviously with you lots of times at Hastings, and you've got lots of visitors. It seems to be 4 or 5 people in there for every race, and they walk in after post parade. You talk to them for 10 minutes, and all of a sudden the last horse is loading. You say, "Hang on one sec," call the race and pick up the conversation where you left off, and that always kind of blew my mind how easy you made it look.
Yeah, but after 30 some odd, or 30 years total, but 25 years, it gets easier. And when I invite people in or they're brought up on a special occasion, I make sure that they understand there's one rule, and that is when the race goes on, there's no cheering.
Cheering silently, you always said.
Silently.
Yes.
Because it is exciting, and that's part of the thing is, if you're there right where the guy's actually calling the race, you know, you got a bet on, you want to get animated, but you really can't. You just have to cheer and pump your fist, and I'm okay with that.
You'd be sitting there like watching Jim Robson call that Pavel Bure goal in '94 when they scored on Calgary in double overtime. You want to be excited, but can't get too loud.
No, you can't get too loud. You just got to kind of keep it under your breath and give it a little fist pump.
All right. So Sunday, 5:15 p.m., 8 races on tap. What time do you fly in?
I fly in, I believe it's 10:30 in the morning your time.
All right. I'll see you at the airport.
I'll be looking forward to it. I'll have my form. I'll be have studied already, and let's get the season underway.
All right. I'll have your pocket program all ready for you. I won't color it like I used to do. So we'll make sure it's nice and clean for you. Sunday afternoon,
That's
8 race card here. Again, 10:30. I'll see you in the morning, but looking forward to you kicking us off here in 2020. Thanks for the time, Dan.
Thanks very much, Matt.